Hey,
Hello.
friend. Hello. Hi, Casey. Hi, Paulette. Hi, Christine. How are you, everybody?
Good to have you back, Max.
I know. Thank you. Yeah, we missed last week because I'm dealing with I'm at my dad's, and he's not dealing with, but he's in the hospital for knee replacement surgery. Paulette says, "Good evening, everyone. Hello, everyone." And so last week was crazy, and so I sent out an email saying be kind of flexible. My lives, everything has been all different, so just the way it is. It's the way it is. All right, well, good to go ahead, Casey.
Sorry about that. I said it is what it is.
It is exactly what it is. That's exactly right. It always is. Listen, it's never not what it is.
So true. So true.
I feel a t-shirt coming on. It's never not what it is. Right. Oh, and speaking of, I've always loved this shirt, and I put it on today, and I was reading it, and I was like, oh my God, that's so dualistic. And look, inhale the good shit, exhale the bullshit. I love the sentiment. I think it's awesome. I get tons of compliments on it. People all the time are like, oh my God, I love your shirt. Or they saw me like, what does that say? And then I'm like, oh my God, it's so dualistic. Good shit, bullshit, whatever. It's just shit, right? It's just shit. So, all right.
Get a shirt that says it's just a story.
It's just a story. That's right. That's another one. It's another one for sure. Good to see you, hear you, Christine. Hopefully we can hear you today. That'd be great. Hopefully you got your situation.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're good?
Yeah, I hope it is it coming in okay?
You sound fine. You sound fine to me.
Good.
Yeah. All right, everybody. Let's just take a couple of deep breaths and stop before we start talking and everything. So let's close our eyes, take a few deep breaths. Take another deep breath. Okay. All right. Welcome, everyone, to another gathering of the continual search. It's great to be here. Good to see you all. And there's a couple of notes I kind of scribbled out throughout the day today, just random. Look at these are just kind of random little things that occurred to me. I'm just like, well, random things that were occurring to me, and I'm like, that's good. So what we're doing here, what we're sharing here is not a teaching. Obviously, it's just a sharing. It's a sharing of an experience. It's a sharing of what may be occurring without the individual. I was going to say within the individual, without the individual. This is just a sharing, right? So it's all energetic. It is all about the unification of the separation. That's a weird phrase, but I'll just say it. So there's a separation that always happens and has always happened for millennia for the human being. The human being immediately is not just, this is just occurring to me right now. So the human being is, we don't say a cat being, we don't say a dog being, we say a human being, right? And we've talked about here before how there are pointers everywhere, right? So a cat is not a cat being, it's just a cat being. I crack myself up. But we call ourselves human beings. And that's been talked about for a long time, of course. But the separation comes when we're like a human, but we're being. But wait a second, is the cat being? Is the tree being? We don't go, oh, there's a tree being. We don't say that. We go, there's a tree. We don't go, oh, there's a cloud being. No, it's just clouding. It's just treeing. It's just, we don't go phone being. It's a phone. It's just a phone, right? But in the separated state, we have this brilliant, incredible ability to have this separated, objectified state. Now, let me say this before we get started. Nothing is wrong with anything that we're talking about. We're just looking at how everything works, really. That's all we're doing, is looking at how everything works, right? So there's nothing wrong with being a human being at all. Nothing wrong with that. It is what it is. There's nothing wrong with a cat being. There's nothing wrong with catting. I saw something, but I'm not going to say it. There's nothing wrong with anything. There's nothing right with anything. It is exactly what it is, what we started out this conversation with. So this is really all about how when that experience happens of the separation, immediately comes into this place of that there is a separated I. There's a separated I. And that separated I always has something it's got to do. It's got to do something. It's got to be something, being. It's got to be something, all of that stuff. So this perceived separation is what we're talking about. Now, there's the perceived separation going on, but then there is something else happening. Now, and that sounds very dualistic in itself, because there's a perceived separation and there's something else. But the perceived separation is not real. There is no you there. You are just a conglomeration of stories, of history, of aspirations, of hopes and desires. Nothing wrong with that at all. But we're just looking at that character that's called you is all of these things put together into this thing, this universe, which I always say, the universe of you, the universe of you. And within that universe, then there's always a subject-object reality. It's all happening to me, right? So I want to talk about this because I think this is something that I thought about today. So it's like, in the separated self, trauma happens. You were beaten, you were abused, or whatever it happens to be, right? I'm not making light of any of this. It just is what it is. Now, what happens is trauma is happening, and it's not happening to anybody. Think about this, just breathe into this for a moment. I guess that's what I want to say. If trauma wasn't happening to you because there wasn't a you, what would trauma be? Sit with that for a second. If trauma was just happening, but there wasn't a you for trauma to happen, right? Just see. Right, just see. Just putting it out there. Something that came across my mind. Because there's nothing wrong, there is nothing at all wrong in the illusion of the separated state to heal trauma. There's nothing wrong with that at all. If you take one essential element out of that equation, which is the me, it's a completely different thing. It's just trauma is happening, right? Just like if there wasn't a you, joy might be happening, freedom might be happening, excitement might be happening, but it's not happening to an individual self, right? So think about that, because thinking doesn't help at all with what we're talking about. The part that of you that might be listening to this, that might be trying to organize this and put it into your toolbox of stuff so that you can become something better, that is not what we're talking about. That's just what is happening. But that's not what we're talking about at all. at all, right? So if trauma's not happening to somebody, but it's happening, that is a pointer towards this conversation. That's a pointer towards this conversation. Just like, and this is a big one, just like the story of God. The story of God, right? God. You could say DOG. It's often been said. So there's a story of God, and then there's you in relationship to the story of God. Now, of course, I'm not here to say there is no God or there is a God. That's not what I'm here to do. I'm here for us to have a conversation about the stories that the separated self creates, and usually is always creating at a very unconscious level, right? Most of the God, and it's very specific why I'm not saying that word, the God word, is because I would say personally, I have no statistics on this fact, but I would say probably 90% of people, maybe more, 90% of separated selves have been taught or fed a story of God. And that is another story that keeps in the separated self to have another story to try to figure out that story, and it goes on and on and on, creating this whole little loop of universe of that self, like you are maybe pondering in this moment about the story of God, right? Story of God has infiltrated the separated self. Why is that? Which is very interesting. Why is that? It could be, I don't know, but it could be that there's something else happening, and the separated self doesn't know what it is. So it's got to make a story about that thing that's going on. In the Course of Miracles, it would call the Atonement, right? So this is what we're talking about today. We're talking about having a conversation about this idea that there is no separation, there is no you, and everything in your life has a story. And that's okay. We are not here to make anyone feel like shit at all. You're just here to be like, okay, well, that's what it is. But feeling like shit might happen, because what we're talking about in this message is there is no hope at all. This is a very futile search. This is a very, if you live on hope, if your self lives on hope, this message is not for you. It's not for you at all. But there's there's something else that goes, maybe there's something here. So that's what we're talking about today. So with that being said, all questions, all comments, everything we're open to all that. So whatever you want to say or share is up to you. And we're a small group today, but that's okay. And if you want to say anything, type anything, we'll just open up the floor and you can ask anything or share.
Wow, that was a quick call.
Remember, it is about, we're not talking about anything, it's nothing, and it's also everything. So it's the same thing. So it's yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Right. Yes. Mm-hmm.
I got to tell you, Max, I'm watching some very beautiful things unfold in my life, and I'm very, very grateful for them.
Hmm.
Yep. Yep.
Nice.
Just
Yeah.
yeah.
Mhm.
Yep.
So that's what's happening.
That's exactly what's happening.
So that's what's appearing to happen. Great things.
Yep. Well, sometimes not so great things happen, but that happens too.
Mm-hmm.
I
Is it happening to someone?
yes, me. Not me, but old drum again. Yes, when I'm
Okay.
experiencing.
I'm not saying, I'm just pointing it out. Go ahead.
I know. But yeah, when a lot of thought is going on, then I know the situation.
That is so hilarious that you said that. Welcome, Tiffany. Is that I said this earlier today. I don't even know where I said it. I think on my new video. I have a new video out there. I said every thought is just another story of the separation.
Yeah, it's like a continuum.
Mm-hmm.
It's continuing. You know, the story. Oh, that's the this, that's the that. You put a label on it, and it's part of the story.
Right. That's pretty fascinating and very interesting. That's something I said this morning, and I was like, it's true, as a thought appears, nothing wrong with a thought, but we're here to kind of just like look, see, investigate, maybe. I don't know. Every thought has a whole universe around it. So it's another story, and it's another form of separation. I don't think that in the separated self I've ever had a thought that wasn't its own universe.
Hmm. Yeah.
I mean, go ahead. Sorry.
I can appreciate having no thoughts.
Mm-hmm.
I was downtown and I was just looking at the sky, at the trees, at the architecture, and I'm thinking to myself, if somebody's looking at me, they're probably going, "Yeah, he's a tourist. He's never been here before because he's in wonderment." And I felt like I was too going, "Wow, look at all this," just taking in the moment, this moment, at that moment, and it was just awestrucking. It's like I never saw it before, but of course, in that moment, that was the only moment.
Mm-hmm. That's super common, I was saying in another, I speak all the time, so I never know where, but that thing of, I think it was last time in my expansion class, Jesus said, "Be ye as a little child," that complete openness of innocence, that everything is new. Everything is like, whoa, wow, that's so, whatever it happens to be, because there's no story behind it. This is like the definition of becoming jaded or cynical, right? So you become jaded or cynical when you're like, yeah, I did that. I did that when I was 12. I did that when I was 30. I get it. And then blah, 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 blah. So, but what you just said is really incredibly strong pointer towards this idea that everything is new. There's nothing that's old, because first of all, there's no time. Everything is like, oh, wow. And you might not have that like childish enthusiasm kind of thing, but it's a sense of like, ooh. Right?
Yeah.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Right. And then the world will come in, the ego will come in and go, grow up.
Exactly. Act your age.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. Mm-hmm. That's right. That's good, Case. Yeah, that's interesting. Yeah, I was thinking about that. With everything I'm going through with my my father and everything, and being here for him. And I'm not going to go into details because it doesn't even fucking matter. But this sense of like, this is happening. Okay, that's happening. Oh, that's happening. Oh, whatever happens to be. And not having this any kind of preconceived idea of what's supposed to be happening. And then I look at my sister, God bless her soul. I love her so much. She's amazing. But so much of everything is based on the stories needs to go a certain way, and this has to happen, and this is going to be, and if it doesn't happen this way, and da 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 da. I just go, okay, sure. Right. And I can be present in every moment or whatever's happening with this character. I can be really there without there's no story going on at all. Right. So every moment is truthful. It's new. Not every moment, I've been very honest with what's happening with me. It's like, it's just becoming more of the norm. It's becoming more of the norm to be really, you can't not be, and I'm not trying to be in the present moment. I've just let go of it. I don't even know I don't even fucking know, but I just go, wait a second. I was watching him having physical therapy today. And it was just like, whoa, wow. Not like, oh, I gotta get to home and there was none of that. It was just so. And now, what I said today in my, my video, then the ego is going to be like, now, how do I get into the now? Now, try to make yourself be in the now. It's not that's like doesn't work that way. The ego is trying to make the ego do it. Go ahead, Casey.
You can't get there from here. So it's kind of like you try and you just kind of like push it away. I don't know how to describe it any other way than.
Because if you push it away, you're just acknowledging that you're trying to get somewhere other than here.
Exactly. Which means you're not. Yeah.
which means only that the separated self or the egoic mind has the hands on the wheel.
Yeah.
Basically.
Yeah. Yep.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's I feel like I'm in a transitional period, and like you had said, it's like it kind of getting to be a new normal. You know what I mean? But it's it's different, but it's native. It feels,
and it's very familiar, and it's so obvious at the same time, right?
Beyond words.
So what happens, I mean, what I've seen, and I definitely can only really reflect on myself, but I've seen it with others, is that there's this like, oh, there's no me, and then there's me, and then there's no me, and then there's me, and then there's no me, until it's like now it's mostly like, wait, there's no me. It's just experience happening. Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
And with that tends to come a sense of joy and sense of freedom. But that's just something that's happening, a sense of joy or just sense of freedom.
Super free.
Yeah, super free. Remember that song? Super Freak. Remember that song?
Yeah.
Rick James.
Yep. Rick James.
My sister, speaking of my sister, used to work at the gift shop at the Hilton on Sunset Boulevard, and there was a few people that lived there at that time. This is like in the 70s, 80s. And Rick James used to live at the Hilton on Sunset Boulevard, and she would talk about him all the time, and he would flirt. And he was a super kinky guy. So
I believe it.
Good times.
I was in that area during the 70s on Sunset Strip. I got to see some. It was totally unlike any other place on the planet, that's for sure. At that time.
I
Yep.
grew up in the valley, and I stole. This is such a story, but I'm going to say it. But as a kid, I mean, my very first show, my neighbor, who was like probably 16, and I was friends with him, I was like 13. He asked my parents if he could take me to a concert at the Whiskey A Go Go, and they go, okay. I was like, all right. And so my very first concert was the Sex Pistols. And it was incredible and amazing. And from then on, I was in Hollywood all the time. I would steal my parents' car in the middle of the night, and we would go down to Hollywood, and it was just insane. But good times, good times, good times.
Yeah. Awesome.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So if anyone else this is bringing up anything besides more stories, I'm trying not to like talk about stories so much, but anyone else want to say anything or contribute or ask a question?
I'm drinking coffee. What are you drinking?
I'm having my first glass of wine for the evening.
Cool. What kind?
Petite Syrah.
Never heard of it.
Oh, it's the best. It's great.
Now you're making me lust.
Making you lust. That is
After your wine.
That's the biggest compliment I've had in a long time, Tiff.
Oh yeah, you know it.
Yeah. No, I was just like, I'm gonna have a little glass of wine. I had a super long day, and I'm like, have a little glass of wine at 6 o'clock. I'm gonna make some food after we're done. So
You're
yeah,
still in California?
Go ahead.
Still in California?
Yeah. Yeah. See,
gotcha.
This is Casey. Do you remember
yeah.
the old office I used to have?
Right. Okay. Yeah.
Uh-huh. With all the princesses and the Marie Osmonds and everything.
Yep.
It's been really, really, really nice here. Yesterday, or a couple of days, it was 107. That was fun.
Wow.
It's just another story.
Heat happens.
Heat happens.
Yep. Thankfully, air conditioning also happens.
Amen. Especially on the East Coast. And when it's dry heat, and literally, they say it all the time, but it's not that bad. The dry heat is not that bad. It's when I'm in New York City and it's like 90% humidity and it's 95 degrees. It's rough. But what's the other thing? I had a couple notes here. I thought about this. This might spark some conversation. It doesn't matter. Who cares? But I've really been looking at how in the past, the character used to teach a lot and the character used to say, you have to do the work, you have to do the work, you have to do the work, right? So I've really this has come up for me, and I'm like, there is no work to do. And I've always kind of felt that way. And in the separated self world, there is kind of work to do. So, there can be, and there's nothing wrong with any of it. But now my relationship to that phrase, do the work, is very different. Very different.
That's so interesting, because I've been like, I need do nothing. I need do nothing. I need do nothing for about the past month or so.
Yeah. it's a big conundrum for this character because of how I've worked and how I've taught and how whatever I've done. Is that it's specifically addressed literally, and I'm not letting this go. I've realized I don't need to let go anyway. Specifically addressed how to cope with the separated state. And that's a really good thing to start with. And there's also something beyond that. I mean, Tiffany is in my course group, Christine's in my course group. And so I'm always like saying, well, this is talking about how to cope while you're in the separated state. But that's not where you end. Right? Or did we just lose someone? Somebody? Anyway.
Yeah, my question would be, how does this play into, or how does this evolve with your past teachings with law of attraction, or feelings about, the whole law of attraction thing?
Didn't I just say that? There's a teaching
Yeah, but
in the separated self. In the separated self, because you believe you are a separated self, right, Christine? Then you believe that you have some kind of a control over something. And I look back and I just go, wait a second, I've helped hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of people have a better life while they're in the separated state. So there's nothing wrong with that. And there's nothing right about that. So there is a teaching within that. Like, if you want to live there and be like, I can teach you how to fucking, attract $1 million or have a great life, I can teach you, because there are metaphysical kind of things that work in that realm. But this work is not that at all.
Yeah.
Do you understand?
There's still laws of the universe. Yeah. I mean, there's still laws of the physical
in the separated
that we're
state.
in, or the physical.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And that has nothing to do with what we're talking about here. Just like it makes me think about, maybe Christine or some of you have read Jed McKenna, and Jed McKenna is so great. And he says, listen, not everybody is ready to wake up from the dream state, but many people are ready or interested in waking up within the dream. So there's a teaching within the dream, but you can't teach what's out of the dream state, because that can't be taught, because it's all that is. And listen, it's so funny you said that, Christine, because I really feel like I was thinking about it today. I have to make a very clear video about this. So, because I want everyone to just do what they ever want to do or whatever. And because this character has some knowledge that I can impart on people or with people to help them, that's not bad and it's not good. It's just not the message that we talk about here on Thursday nights.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
There's nothing wrong with any of it.
No, of course not. Nothing wrong.
Can I add a thought to that is for this character?
Mm-hmm.
I had to stop trying to figure it out and respect where I am on this Thursday. And tomorrow, respect where I am. And I'm not talking about time, because I know time is not real, but wherever you are in that given moment.
Mm-hmm. And
what you don't understand, you may understand tomorrow.
Mm-hmm.
You may never understand it. It may never matter. But it was trying, for me personally, for this character, trying not to feel like I don't know enough, or I need an answer for it, or I need this to make sense, or I need everything Max says to make sense.
Right.
Because sometimes that's not supposed to today. And this, in this instant, but maybe it will. And maybe there's a reason why it's supposed to make sense to you at a different stage of your journey, and not try to even explain the journey to yourself. And I'm not saying it very well, but I hope I'm conveying my thought.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, for sure. Because within the separated world, it needs a story in order to do the thing, to get the thing. And that's okay. There's nothing wrong with it, Tiffany. Nothing wrong with any of it at all. But the common denominator of what you just said is that there's a you that needs to do or not do.
Yes, or even a little bit beyond that, there was a point where there was a me that needed to figure it out, and being accepting of that thought, and realizing that that's where the character of me was at that moment. And now it is in a different position, and being respectful of where I am in this moment, and not
That's
trying to
right.
always get somewhere or be somewhere or do something different or believe or learn or grow or be better as a person, all that, the whole thing.
Right. And that is still in the separated state, and there's nothing wrong with that, because it's obviously helping you. So it's okay. It doesn't matter.
Yes. Okay. You just said my thought. Being okay with the fact that I was in the separated state at the time, and respecting that, and then respecting that I'm evolving from that, and can see that, and not try to rush it or push it or feel like I'm not enough or too much, or, trying to figure out where exactly I am and what does that mean and all that, and just going, It is what it is. Like Max's dad in the situation. It just is. Okay, this is what we're doing.
Very good. I mean, now I'm going to say the line. So that's what's appearing to happen. That's what's appearing to happen. The self-referential situation, everybody, is really important, because everything comes back to the self. Comes back to I am not, I'm just pointing this out just to look at how it works, right? So it comes back to this whole like, I am, I have, I am, I'm going to, I stopped, I'm going to start, and all that stuff. And that's an interesting way that the separated self works. It's all good. So there is that, and then there's something that is beyond words. That is almost impossible to, because there's no reference point, right? So there's no reference point, because we use ourself as reference point all the time. But if there's no self there,
You hit the nail on the head, Max, when you said there's no reference point, because that says it all, because everything revolves around me, or you know what I mean, the self. And when that isn't a reference point, then it's undescribable.
Then what is it? We don't know, because the self is going to try to figure out what that is. This is very basic subject-object living, right? So here's the subject, everything else is the object. So you reference yourself and your experience and your development and your failures and your successes and your understandings. There's nothing wrong with any of this. I'm going to say that over and over. I've realized, and I realized in the last few days, that as I am getting a little bit more adept at speaking of this, that I have to keep saying over and over, there's nothing wrong with any of that. Because the self is going to be like, oh, you shouldn't do that. No to this. That's not what we're doing, because then it would be a teaching, and then you have to do it. And if you didn't do it, blah, 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 blah. Wow. Bullshit. Right? the point is that the you is just not recognized anymore. There's no recognition of going like, oh, that's Max. That goes away. There's nothing of that. That's maybe a little wisp. For me, it might be a little more of a wisp now, but it's just sort of like, I don't care. It doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. And therefore, it's super easy to not keep someone else or a situation on their story. Because you can't think your way into this. Because you are your own worst enemy. Because the ego keeps chasing the ego. I put that into that latest YouTube that I put up today.
Hey, Max, can I
It
ask
makes
you
me
a question?
think of that rooster cartoon.
Hold on, Casey.
Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Go ahead. Christine, go ahead. It makes you think of what?
That, what's that rooster's name in the cartoon that's running around? The sky is falling. The sky is falling.
No. Chicken Little. Chicken Little. It's Chicken Little.
Yeah, that's our ego, or that's our, our connection to our character, our self is like that. It's like constantly looking for something to run around, and
right,
the sky is always falling. But there is no sky.
There is no sky, and nothing's falling
To fall.
That's a great analogy there. That's true. Yeah, Chicken Little. I don't think my sister always thinks, but that's my. Oh my god! Oh my god! Oh my god! Oh, whoa! What? Ha! Whoa! What? It's like it's all a story that's been created, right? That's a good analogy there. Thank you, Christine. Casey, were you going to say something? Sorry.
Yeah, thanks, Max. I was pondering the idea that perhaps that's why some people say that it's important to meditate and clear your mind of thought, because there's no way to sink yourself into it.
Yeah.
Whereas also, you said one time, don't quote me, but having to do with the Course of Miracles, I think it was, or maybe it was that Jed McKenna guy. I'm not sure exactly, but you get to the path just by getting to the path. It's like it happens to you. It's not like you study and you get there, you become a monk for 1,000,000 years. It can just happen out of the blue.
In the let me just say this before it flies out of my head, because it happens a lot. In the Course of Miracles, the quote is, it's something like this. It's pretty close to this. It says, long periods of meditation and contemplation are not necessary.
Yeah, that's the one I was thinking of. Good call.
Right. Why wouldn't they be necessary? Of course they're not necessary, because you're already fucking there, bitch. That's the other t-shirt. You're already there. You're already fucking there. Well, the thing is, it's just another, on some level, what's in psychology is called a delay tactic. It's a delay tactic. It's kind of like, when you have a really hard decision that you need to make, sell the house or stay in the house. Let's just say that. That can be a big decision, right? And your intuition keeps going, sell the house, sell the house, sell the house, and then sell the house. And then all your practical part says, no, we should stay here. And if we stay here for 5 more years, we'll get $100,000 more and blah, 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 blah. But the other part just goes, leave. And so it's just like, you already literally, the communication is already coming through, but the story gets in the way.
Yeah, I can see
Kind of
that.
comes back to law of attraction stuff too. Yeah.
Uh,
These are all pointers. Another pointer is you already know, but you're trying to rationalize either doing or not doing what you already know. Happens all the time. Like, should I take that job or should I not? Should I sell the house? Should I not? Should I ask her to marry me? Should I not? You already fucking know. It already is there. It's there. But the struggle with the egoic mind is that it starts thinking and thinking and overthinking and then going, oh, blah, 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 blah. Right? It's the opposite of.
I can personally.
Go ahead, Christine.
I can personally attest to the fact that, I mean, my mind and came up with so many reasons why I shouldn't have moved and did what I just did recently in my life, bought this house like on a whim and moved to a totally new state that I had never even been to in my life. And follow that intuition and that feeling, that spark of feeling that, and then everything just fell in place. And I just feel like I was guided to be here. And I've never felt happier in my life right now, where I'm at and with everything. And
there you go.
But there was all kinds of reasons in my mind that I shouldn't have done it,
Right.
And that's where I feel everything in my life, every decision I make from now on, I try to come from that centered place, that feeling that you can't even define that feeling, but we all have it. It's no special magical thing that you get.
It's a huge
we
pointer.
All have it.
It's a huge pointer.
Yeah, but we just
and if you can get, so Christine, let me just say this really quickly. If you can get you out of that equation, then it's going to be a completely different thing even more. What should I do?
Flowing.
What's good for me? What's bad for me? Go ahead. Sorry.
It's just this feeling of flowing,
Yes.
Just following that whole follow the flow, but that's exactly what it is.
Right.
Of following the flow. And it's not just about the big decisions. It's about the small ones too, every little thing you're doing all day long is just following the flow.
Exactly.
So
that's beautiful, Christine. That's a real testament to starting to really, see what all this is. And I know Christine for many years, and Christine her character used to be an overthinker, joiner character. And it'd be like, well, I'll do that. No, I'll do that. No, I'll overthink that. And maybe I'll do that. No, I'll go with this group. No, I'll do this. And it really does show that there is evolution. There is evolution. And that evolution actually comes back to something that you've already known, Christine. You know what makes you feel good, so just do it. Right?
Yeah, it's so much more simpler than I was making it out to be all along,
Yeah.
It is very simple.
Yeah. That's why I did that lesson the other day from the Course in Miracles. And he says, this way is not hard, but it is very different. That's the part in between those two phrases. This way is not hard, but it is very different. That if you can start to approach, it is very different. Something starts to shift in the foundation. Good job, Christine. I'm glad. I was gonna.
In that
every day. Did you get affected by the flood situation at all?
Oh no, it didn't hit us hard at all. It was mostly Dallas area.
I didn't think so.
Yeah, we're good. Not at all.
Well,
I was very glad for what we did get because we needed it. So I was going to say about there's that whole. I'm not sure if that's from the Bible or what, but this quote's coming into my mind right now about the thinking is 360 degrees from the thinking of the world. I
That's
don't know
from the
where I heard
Course in
that from.
Miracles. The Course in Miracles says the thinking of God is 180 degrees, which means the complete opposite
Okay.
of the thinking of man. So the way that the universe or absolute is operating is the complete opposite of how the ego works. Yeah.
And the pushback you get from everybody in the world, plus your friends and family and stuff, when they see you living this way. And I mean, you don't even have to wear it on your sleeve that you're living this way. They can just tell that you're living different.
Mm-hmm.
And it's amazing the pushback you can get from your own mind, but also from friends and family, you know?
So that's what just appears to happen for them. That's all. What you do with
So
that,
they want you to be doing what they're doing.
what the separated self does with that creates a whole other story that which becomes an encyclopedia, which becomes a movie, which becomes whatever. Right? That's
Yeah.
just what's appearing to happen for them. Okay, sure. Yeah.
Yeah. So like I shared in the thing last night about how one of my friends was giving me a really hard time and giving me attitude and stuff. And so I was talking to her because I felt like she was really pushing against me and kind of pushing me away ever since I made the decision to move out here and all the other changes that have been happening in my life. And I just was trying to like figure out why she was doing it. And, you know, she's like, well, you know, if I had the opportunities that you have in your life now, you know, I can't, you know, you said you had all these big dreams and you were going to do this and you were going to do that. So why aren't you doing it? And I'm just thinking, well, how do you know that what I'm doing, first of all? And like, I don't just, you know, I'm not part of that, gotta get out there and conquer the world. And I'm hustling every day towards my goals. I'm just not like that.
Yeah.
I just believe you work on things and flow toward it and the right thing. And it just because I said at one time I'm interested in doing one thing doesn't mean I'm gonna, like, I'm chained to it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
The next best thing will happen when it's meant to happen.
Mm-hmm.
And it doesn't mean I'm just laying around not doing anything, but the way I work towards my so-called goals now in my life are so different
Right.
than what I normally used to do and what the world tells us to do. So when you're living that way, it's almost like some people like attack you for it, you know, and they
That
think
can
you're crazy
happen.
too. And they think you're lazy. She
No,
told me
that
that she
can.
thought I was being self-centered.
So that's what's happening for her.
I'm like, okay, that is so funny.
Right. Exactly.
Like,
Right.
I think everybody, I'm like, I'm not any more self-centered than anyone else in the whole world. We're all self-centered because you can't help but be self-centered.
And there, what you just said, Christine, is exactly why it's different of what this conversation is.
Yeah.
Right. All is good and all is what it is. So I think that's awesome. But that whole thing about, right, about it's all comes back to there's herself, there's myself, there's Joe's self, there's Clinton's self, there's Trump's self, there's all these other selves going on. And then the our self goes, wait a second. And that's what it does. That's what it does. That's why the Buddha said his whole thing, the Buddha was about the relief or the freedom from suffering. Suffering is that. What are they doing? What am I doing? How am I doing it? How are they doing it? Maybe I should do it this way, all that other stuff that's going on. That's okay. Right? And this conversation is something other than that. Right. So take everybody. Let's just sit for a second. and open your eyes. Thank you. I just put in the link for my donations. If you feel you're getting value from this, any amount is greatly appreciated from the time that we've had here. I feel like you know, that's just something that I would like to do. And if you feel moved, then you can make a donation there. If not, that's okay too. We'll be back again next week, as far as I know, unless you got an email stating otherwise. And anyone want to say anything before we wrap up? Okay. All right, everybody. Love you so much. Have an incredible week. And I'll talk to you soon. Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye, love you.